Nice to meet you, Jeff. Why don't you just go ahead and give us a brief introduction about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. Bit of a background on myself. I went to school, got an entrepreneurial major in business school. And after I graduated, had a great opportunity to go work at a bank, but I turned it down because I was rodeoing professionally at the time and I wanted to do that. But long story short, I ended up going back to the banking industry and worked in the banking industry for a while and then quit that to start my own company. I started a manufacturing company in 2005 and had a lot of experience running that and doing different things with that from 2005 till 2021. We shut it down during COVID. But there was a lot of incredible experiences running that, and it was involved in the real estate industry. And so we had a lot of up and downs since 2005 and a lot of great experiences in that. What I've been doing more focused on the last 4 years about has been an opportunity to get into the business coaching industry. Something I've always kind of dabbled in, but got a lot more serious about it in the last few years and had an opportunity to work with entrepreneurs more closely one-on-one, really working on their personal development and their businesses and helping them create the peak performance they want to be in, plus growing their businesses. And then in addition to that, I've been a basketball coach for the last 20 years. So I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of athletes. And what I've done during this last year, especially during the pandemic, was started working a lot more closely with the athletes one-on-one, working on their mental game. And I created a program called the Confident Athlete Program, where I work with a group of athletes. They go through an online program that I have, and then we have weekly group coaching, and we help them to develop the mental strength to really excel in their sports. And so it's really been an opportunity to be an entrepreneur, work on my own businesses, but also as a business coach and success coach to work with individuals on their businesses, on their athletic endeavors, and all their peak performance things that they're trying to be successful in.
So was there anything that made you go, oh, I want to be this success coach, or I want to start helping people be entrepreneurs? What made you make that decision?
You know, for a lot of years, I've had an opportunity to be a mentor to different individuals and even working with some universities to help their students develop their business plans for their business plan competitions and then even judge their business plans. And I've really enjoyed that. And one of the things running my own business, it gave me a lot of opportunity to do things right and do things wrong, I guess, because there's a lot of times that we would do something that we thought we were on the right track and we would fail at it and have to kind of start over. And I would often say to one of my business partners, Dave, I'd say, you know what, this one's either got to go in the books or something. And really, it was an opportunity that I thought we can help people to avoid some of the mistakes that we've made and to capitalize on some of the successes we've had. And so just having the opportunity to help people that way was great. And it was actually Dave that pushed me a little bit when he introduced me to someone that he knew that had a similar background, that had been in a manufacturing business and had become a successful coach. And I had the opportunity to sit down with that individual, and he kind of looked at what I had done, what my qualifications were, what my certifications were. And he just says, you know, you want to do this, why aren't you doing it? And it kind of was the opportunity for me to say, yeah, I've been holding myself back and actually go forward and start doing this a lot more seriously.
So you mentioned that at first you were working with entrepreneurs and then next you went to working with athletes. How did you make that transition?
You know what? A lot of it is because in my mind, there's so much similarity in athletics with everyday life. And how it first started, like I said, I was a basketball coach, so I was already working with athletes a lot, but I have a mastermind group. And when I was coaching basketball at one of the high schools here in Arizona, I would hold my mastermind group from our film room at the school, because as soon as we were done, I had to go out and coach basketball. And one of my assistant coaches was in that mastermind group. And he would actually, after we'd go out to practice, and he'd say, you got to talk to this team and teach them some of the things you were talking about in that mastermind. And so it got me really taking the things that I was working with entrepreneurs and helping athletes with the same sort of training. But then what happened during the pandemic was one of my clients had a son who was a diehard football player, wanted to play post-secondary football. And through all the things that were happening during the pandemic, he really got discouraged, really started dealing with, the hard things of, seasons being canceled and people telling him, this really doesn't matter anymore, where in his heart, yeah, it was something that he's dedicated all his life to, and it does matter. And so she asked me to work with her son. And when I had the opportunity to work with him and walk him through some of the things, I thought this is something that a lot of athletes need to focus on and develop their mental strength. And, athletes put a lot of focus and attention on the physical aspects of their sport, and not many put a lot of attention into the mental part of it. And so there was a need for it. And I love working with student athletes. And so it was just a really good fit.
So thinking about goals in 2022, what are some of your milestones that you have set for the next year?
I'm really a big goal setter. And so I've got a lot of different things because I wear a lot of different hats, whether it's, working with athletes, working with entrepreneurs. I also am a mortgage lender in Arizona. So I've got a lot of different goals I work on there. But a lot of it is focused on who I can help in these different areas. And by doing that, it's going to help me achieve my own personal goals. And so, for example, in my Confident Athlete program, I want to get at least another 100 student athletes in that program in 2022 and help them to really develop their potential. And then on the other side of things with the entrepreneurs, I'm looking to, because I've got different programs with my entrepreneurs. And so I look at that in a few different ways. I want to work with at least another 50 entrepreneurs through my online programs, and at least another 25 in my one-on-one coaching. And so those are kind of the targets for me. And then on the side note, I also have my own goals with my real estate in Arizona with the mortgage lending.
So I also noticed your Instagram is rather enticing. How does that play a part in what you do?
Well, thank you. You know what? It's actually been probably one of the tools that I use the most out of all social media. It's definitely the one I'm most active on. And I've had an opportunity to really meet a lot of people through Instagram, and some of my current clients that I work with, that is where we met. And I think it's, because I do have my own podcast as well. And one of them is one that I post on Instagram every day. It gives me the opportunity to spread my message more. And I mean, my hope for myself is that I'm helping a lot more than just the people I look at as my clients, that the things I talk about, the things I do in my podcast and different stuff like that, my goal is that I can help people improve their own performance, whether they're entrepreneurs or athletes or whatever they are as high achievers. And so Instagram has been a valuable way for me to really share that information.
Speaking of Instagram, is there one feature that you like the most or is most helpful to you?
Probably the ability to because with my Daily Success Strategies podcast, I do include the video as well. And so being able to include that as a video on Instagram on a daily basis has been really an extra tool that I've been able to get it out there more than just on the podcast networks.
So thinking about how many goals you have, how important do you think it is to keep track of your goals and ideas in the way that the environment changes every day?
Goals are something I'm really passionate about and work a lot with my clients on. And there's so many things, and actually on my podcast I talk about it a lot too, because the way I look at it is if you want to go way back in when Earl Nightingale wrote The Strangest Secret, he talked about putting a ship into a harbor without a known destination, without a captain, without a rudder. Where is it going to go? It's going to end up a derelict crash somewhere, right? But then if you put a ship in a harbor with a destination, with a captain at the helm, with a rudder, everything that you need to get there, 99 out of 100 times it's going to get there. And that's the same thing with goals. And we really want to, everyone has their dreams and goals, but unless we really put some effort into understanding what they are and how we're going to achieve them, it's just a hope. And I really think that when you put the effort into understanding your goals, understanding your why behind your goals, and creating a plan on how you're going to achieve them, it's really important. And it's really something that we need to take the time to do. We need to put the effort into, and constantly looking at those goals. I talk a lot about your reticular activating system, your RAS, and the importance of continually reviewing your goals and thinking about your goals and visualizing, and how that your RAS will help you to find those answers on how you're going to achieve those goals. So yeah, I think it's really important to review and know your goals all the time.
So in terms of the pandemic, did it have any effect on you reaching your goals the past couple of years?
It's really been interesting during the pandemic because we've really had a shift in how everything operates. And so it hasn't necessarily, I mean, in some areas, yes, I ended up shutting down that company that I opened in 2005. So that was definitely something we had to adjust to. But in other areas, it was an opportunity to look at things from a new light and really look at things more globally, because everyone started doing things virtually, and really the networking opportunities have been incredible. And so I've been able to network with so many more people in such a larger scale, and having opportunities to be on shows like this, to speak at different events all around the world. And so it really changed a lot of the goals, changed a lot of the direction, but it also opened up a lot of opportunities. And I think that's the people that really looked at things and realized that, yeah, things have changed, but I don't need to wait until someone gives me permission, that there's opportunities here now. I think those are the people that really found success during the pandemic.
What is one piece of advice you would give others that you have learned in life that has kept you on the right track to become successful?
I think probably the biggest thing to look at is planning your success. Because like I said, just like the ship without a rudder, if you just going through life not knowing where your destination is, you're never going to get there. And so by planning it, as Stephen R. Covey would say, begin with the end in mind, knowing where you're trying to get, figuring out what you need to do to get there, and really putting the plans in place to do that is really important. And a lot of the times it's just the little success habits that you can put into place that will make all the difference. Little things that you might not think are making a big difference, but as they compound over time can have a significant difference. But what I talk to my clients all the time about, these are the easy things to do, but they're easy not to do as well. And so it's creating the discipline, the plan, and then the discipline to follow through on that plan to achieve the goals that you want for yourself.
Yes, I totally agree. That's also something that we here at ILN focus on, is sustaining success. So we like to help people become successful, but we also like to help them to stay successful. So when you think about ILN and our ALP, what is one of your favorite features that you would say would help people be successful?
Well, I'm actually going to talk about two. Because one, what we've already been talking about, I think it's always important to keep your goals front and center, to review them every day. I have a process that I call my mindset questions that I have people go through every day. And part of going through those questions is also reviewing your goals on a daily basis. And on the ILN app, being able to visually see those goals every day, I think, is important. But another part that I really like about it is there's oftentimes, because I do a daily podcast, it's that the things that I talk about on that podcast usually come from conversations with people or just thoughts that I have, or maybe I'm reading something or listening to something and I have a thought. And oftentimes I'll think of something and be like, oh, I've got to remember that and talk about that on the podcast. And then by the time I'm recording the podcast, I forget about it. And so, for example, at the gym this morning, I was listening to something and it triggered something that I thought I've got to think about that when I'm recording my next podcast. And in the ILN app, having a section for ideas and stuff to just quickly go in there and jot down some ideas, and being able to go back to that and review that has been a valuable tool for me.
I really do appreciate you coming through today, and you have given some great advice. How can people contact you if they'd like to work with you?
Absolutely. Thank you. First of all, on Instagram, it's Jeff Heggie Coaching. So JeffHeggie Coaching. That's on Instagram and most social media. My website is jeffheggie.com, and my email is jeff@jeffheggie.com.
And what is your podcast, in case some of our viewers want to listen?
So my daily one is Daily Success Strategies. And then I have another one called The Jeff Heggie Show, and another one called The Jeff and Heidi Show. And, since we're talking about it, another just bonus I'll throw out there, for someone that is focused on setting goals and understanding their path to achieve their goals, I have a free program at jeffheggie.com/goals that will walk you through that whole process.
Thank you so much for coming on today, Jeff.
Thanks, Kayla. I appreciate it.